Jamie's production, come on. Like, come on. Today, we're revisiting an iconic album released 8 years ago. Why 8 years? Because it's that sweet spot between nostalgia and relevance. It's enough time to reflect on an album's impact and legacy, but still close enough for fans to remember their connection to it. I just want to know, did it stand the test of time? Or is it a part of a moment we've left behind? Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can win a copy of this month's record, and welcome to Middle 8. First, some context. The XX first emerged from London's indie scene in 2009 with their debut album XX, a minimalist masterpiece that redefined indie pop. With its sparse instrumentation, heartfelt lyrics, and the captivating interplay between Romy Croft and Oliver Sim's vocals, the album became a cultural phenomenon, winning the Mercury Prize and inspiring a wave of atmospheric pop. Their 2012 follow-up Coexist leaned further into introspection, retaining their signature minimalism, but drawing mixed reactions for its lack of evolution. By then, indie pop had embraced bigger, bolder production, leaving Coexist feeling a bit out of step with the shifting landscape. By the time I See You was announced, the band had undergone significant transformation. Jamie XX's solo success with In Color brought vibrant club-inspired production into his repertoire, and this influence began seeping into the XX's sound. Meanwhile, Romy explored songwriting, and Oliver found creative outlets in the fashion world. All of these experiences paved the way for their most daring and experimental album yet. With I See You, the XX embraced a brighter, more expansive sound, blending elements of UK bass, alternative R&B, and creative sampling with their signature intimacy. So, 8 years later, does I See You still hit the same, or has time changed the way we hear it? Let's give it another listen and find out. Of course, we're going to be listening with the HD6XXs, the gold standard in headphone reference, to hear it as the artist intended. Start with track number 1, Dangerous. Immediately, the horns is an entirely different tone than anything they've used as like an intro track for their album. Those horns! They're great. They're just great. All right, so I will say right off the bat, the tone and the energy that opening track sets, completely different, I guess, tone than they've ever opened up an album with previous to this. Clearly, Jamie XX, is bringing that influence from In Color over here onto I See You. I've always felt like Oliver and Romy's voice kind of brings down Jamie's production a little bit. There's a reason why their most popular track is an instrumental. Come on. Just to say, I love the XX. Their albums are behind me. I own them all. Oliver's voice has always felt like it's never really evolved. Romy, I think, has definitely gotten a little bit more confident in her years. I'm not saying that they're bad voices. I just think that they don't lift Jamie's production up. All right, track 2, Say Something Loving. I actually do really like their interplay of voices on this part here. The way their voices kind of weave in and out of each other. So the interplay on this track, I will say, between their voices, and this is coming from the guy who just said that Romy and Oliver's voices kind of can bring down some of the production work or, not really live up to the shine of Jamie's production work. On this track, they're kind of bringing it. I think it's kind of working on this track. I love that they're still keeping a lot of those intimate moments on the record. It doesn't feel like Jamie XX has kind of really taken over the project. It still feels like there's room for these two vocalists to, do their thing. Oh, the pen. Yeah, again, I think the interplay really works on that track between Romy and Oliver's vocals. That's one of the bangers off of the record. I believe that's one of the bigger songs off the record. Let's do it. Track 3, Lips. That little guitar twang. Whew. This feels much more true to the band's older atmosphere, doesn't it? Love how it kind of opens up towards the end here. Yeah, I really loved that sort of ending portion there. Again, whenever Jamie XX's production has a chance to just breathe is kind of when the XX shines. Track 4, A Violent Noise. Oh, I love that drop.
But every beat is a violent noise.
Jamie's production, come on. Like, come on.
For me to hear.
Damn.
Now I go out, but every beat is a violent noise.
It's been some time since I've listened to this record, and I think I forgot how great A Violent Noise was. Easily kind of blends in with the XX's old school stuff. They were kind of the precursor for that very emotional electronic music, kind of being like dance music you could dance to alone in your room. Okay, moving on. Track 5, Performance.
I'll put on a performance.
Okay, that's nice. Is it changing up? Is it gonna explode? Where's this gonna go? Because so far, this track feels a little, like, overly subdued. Alright, to be honest, Performance is a little bit of a sleeper track. I think it's a little too minimal. It's a little too undercooked. Let's just move on to track number 6. Replica. Okay, this chorus is pretty catchy. This chorus is a little more catchier than what we got in Performance. But I still think Oliver's voice it just doesn't go anywhere. The production, shining.
They all say I will become a replica.
Seems like the album kind of takes a bit of a dip in terms of tone in the middle of the album. It kind of goes from, you know, these heavier dance and brighter tracks like Dangerous, Say Something Loving, even A Violent Noise I'll throw in there. And it seems like we're kind of heading towards a bit more of that intimate, subtle sound from their previous records in the middle of this album here. Let's go for Brave For You, track 7. Okay, I was hoping the track would finally pick up. Okay. A little bit of that distorted bass in there. Cool, cool. The song needed this. The song needed a bit of a change up. It needed something. The album's kind of losing some of that momentum that was building up in the beginning there. I'm not a fan of Brave For You. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's move on, because I know the next couple of tracks are like the best songs from the record. So let's give a listen to number 8, On Hold.
I don't blame you. We got carried away.
Already, like, so much more confident than previous tracks.
Now you found
Even Oliver's voice on this has a little bit more like rasp on it. It's Jamie XX. That's why this song is so good, guys.
I thought I had you on hold.
Subverting us a little bit with not giving us that drop. Okay. Thought I had you on hold. I think that's the other thing too, is the lyrics on this are just like so instant. I think everybody can kind of relate to the idea of potentially maybe missing out on a love in their life, or you know, the one that kind of got away or something, or maybe there was a relationship that you were in and you guys kind of got into a fight. You thought you had them on hold, but you didn't. The most listened to track on the album, according to Spotify, and for good reason. That is like textbook Jamie XX in this transitionary period, like following In Color. It's very much a blueprint for what Jamie XX would kind of continue to refine and do on In Waves. 100% that song still kind of holds up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jamie XX also did a remix of one of these songs. I believe it was either On Hold, or I gotta look it up now. Yeah, so Jamie XX did a remix of On Hold itself. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on to number 9, I Dare You.
I'm in love with it. intoxicates it.
You kind of know the direction that an XX song is going, whether or not Jamie is kind of like leading in with a punchier beat or not, at least on this record. On previous records, sometimes it was a little bit more adventurous. You didn't know where tracks were really going. And then they'd kind of bloom and turn into something beautiful or psychedelic or whatnot. Whereas on this record, a lot of tracks feel a lot more straightforward, even though the production is a little bit more varied than it has been in the past. Singing the chorus in unison, again, it's working here. Oliver and Romy are working here. Okay, I will say, I Dare You, I think, on this album is like the culmination of like showcasing the band's evolution. It's kind of that perfect balance of Jamie XX's more anthemic leaning production and the X's more soft and subdued and intimate, just chill kind of sound. I think this is a good question for chat. Does it sound too generic? Like, does it sound too much like a pop anthem? But again, they've always kind of been an indie pop band. It just feels like this record, they're leaning much more towards that generic pop kind of feel. So let me know in the comments. Let's wrap it up. Let's head into Test Me, the album's closer, and see if it kind of ends on a satisfying note. I honestly don't even remember this track, so I'm a little nervous.
Just take it out on me.
Oh, I was really kind of hoping for something a little bit different. In previous or in the past XX albums, they'll usually kind of have songs that do that kind of linger, and then all of a sudden they fall off a cliff. And in a good way. I mean that in the best way possible. The track is doing this one thing, and all of a sudden now we dive into like some weird sub bass, like the production changes or goes to completely left field, and it's exciting. That was exciting. So I don't like it. It seems like it was going there, but it didn't do it. So let's keep on going. Interesting. Okay, so that's the end of the lyrics. And there's still another like 2 minutes left of the track. I don't remember where it goes. Yeah, but like I was telling you, sometimes tracks fall off a cliff, production-wise, and they go somewhere completely different. Did I not say that the XX kind of like venture off towards like they fall off a cliff into like this weird sub-bass psychedelic transition of production in songs? Well, they did it. They did it here. The only problem is I feel like it kind of comes a little bit late, and also the first half of the track, it didn't grab my attention. So it just kind of fizzles out. Not my favorite closer to an album. I See You feels like this odd sort of middle ground for the band at this period of time, especially considering Jamie XX, you know, coming off of the heels of his debut record where he's very much diving into a variety of different production styles, but heavily in the future garage house sort of realm. You can 100% feel Jamie XX's solo work kind of bleeding into this album. That early bit of track list is him exploring that with the XX, but then we go quickly back into the XX's original sort of intimate style with Performance, Replica, Brave for You. I think On Hold and I Dare You is very much that, you know, perfect balance of where Jamie XX's production work was kind of headed and where the XX, I guess, would be at that period of time in 2017. This album still sounds as fresh as it did back in 2017. Jamie XX's production is still fairly strong on this record, so no complaints on that side. I See You represents a turning point for the XX, bridging their quiet, introspective beginnings with a more open, expressive future. It's like watching a group of introverts finally step into the spotlight. And that's the real takeaway. I See You is a confident step forward, a record that isn't afraid to try something new while staying true to what makes the XX unique. Since I See You, the members of the XX have ventured into solo projects, each offering a glimpse of where the band may go next. Overall, there's a shared commitment to emotional honesty and experimentation. So if their solo work is any indicator, the XX's next chapter could see them taking their intimate and atmospheric sound into fresh and bold territory. Music that moves both the body and the heart. To celebrate this month's record, I'm giving away 3 vinyl copies of I See You. All you gotta do is follow us on our socials at MoreMiddle8, tag 2 friends, and comment why this album still resonates with you. Thanks for revisiting this album with me 8 years later. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Middle 8.